This is Mary and Jerry Hughes Take 18 at least from Outdoor Staycations. This is really harder than it looks. And a few weeks ago, if not a few months ago, before we went to North Dakota for the beet harvest, a good friend, Steve Turtle from a Workamper's story, interviewed us and asked us a few questions about our lifestyle. Well, we finally have an opportunity to get back with Steve, and we've asked him a few questions of our own.
Hi, I'm Steve Turtle and I'm a work camper.
Steve, how did you downsize from a stick and brick home to your RV?
Well, that's a long story, but I can sum it up fairly quick. We sold the house, we packed all of our stuff into our camper, and we hit the road for fun travel and adventure. Actually, Jill had decided to sell the house. I drove home. The real estate agent was sitting on the front porch, and she said, "Come on down and sign the papers." The papers were already drawn up to sell the house. I signed the papers. 2 weeks later, the house was on a contract. And 4 months later, we were packed up and heading towards Chicago, Illinois. We stayed at a campground for about 2 or 3 weeks, finish out our jobs. We had 2 or 3 yard sales before trying to get rid of all of our stuff. We carted a whole bunch of stuff off to Salvation Army and Goodwill. So it was a process, but 4 months went by pretty quick. Next thing you know, we don't have a home, free and clear and on the road. Drove up, hit Route 66, and took a month and did that.
Well, Mary and my story is about the same as Steve's. After a few surgeries and recovery of almost 2 years, we had a beautiful opportunity to go visit our daughter with our new grandson in Honolulu. We were there for his birth. And thank you, Matt, very much for being deployed for 9 months. It gave us a good opportunity to visit with the grandkids, see Honolulu, and really get our adventure spirit in play.
Upon returning from Hawaii, we already had our things sold and in storage, and we said this is a golden opportunity. So we hit the road. We bought a used fifth wheel and a used truck, and we headed down south to warmer climate. How do you handle your mail, your banks, and your doctors?
Well, our mail, we have a very good friend that lives in our hometown, and she has allowed us to use her address as a home address. So all our mail goes to her. She sorts through it, throws out what she knows is junk, especially the bills, and whatever looks like it should come to us, she'll take a picture of it and text it to us, and we'll tell her whether or not it's important or not. And then after she accumulates some things, she'll throw it in the mail and send it off to us. So she's been a very good friend, and she's done that for us, and we try to return favors as much as we can. Our banking, we have chosen Wells Fargo since it's a national bank. We figured it'd be all across the United States, but it is not. Our first work camping job was in Missouri, and there was no Wells Fargo. So we ended up using an ATM and paying ATM fees. Now, we didn't pay the Wells Fargo side of the fees, but we paid for the bank that we were using. So anyway, we ended up paying some fees. For the most part, Wells Fargo has worked out. They're all over, but not in Missouri. As far as our doctors, I have a military insurance, health insurance, and it's sort of portable. When we go to an area and we plan to stay there for a while, I'll call them up and change my primary care manager to that area, and then we utilize the doctors in network in that area. So it's worked out pretty good. It's a little bit complicated when it comes to prescriptions, but I guess it's not that bad.
For mail, we went with St. Brendan's Isle in Green Cove Springs, Florida. We're very happy with them. They provide all the services we need.
As far as banking, I'm a veteran, so we went with with Navy Federal, which has several hundred branches throughout the country, mostly near military bases, but also you can use any federal credit union, teachers, whatnot, for free ATM transactions.
Medical was a little bit different. You already know Jerry's a disabled veteran, so his medical is covered. I did not have medical when we started traveling. We were a little nervous about that when we came across the fact that Dollywood provides medical for seasonal employees who work a minimum of 26 weeks. So you can see where my medical comes from. Have you incurred any damage to your RV on the road, and how did you handle that?
Not so much the RV, but when when we were on our Route 66 trip, we had a bicycle rack on the back of the camper, and on the bumper we had a hitch that was welded to it. So the bicycle rack was attached to the hitch, and I guess through a few bumps, the weld broke. So the bike, I got out to pump gas, walked around the camper, checked things out. The bike was all but on the road, dragging the wheels and everything. So had to take all that off, and we had the hitch welded back up, so that wasn't too big of a problem. And then in Oklahoma, we left a restaurant, and for some reason they have drainage ditches instead of, like a regular drain. And I sort of went over a ditch and drug the bottom of the back of the camper and folded both the leveling jacks. I couldn't even use them, had to have them replaced. So that was pretty bad. Cost a little bit of money, but it could have been worse. And then somewhere out west, we were driving along, and we stopped, went into the camper to take a tinkle break, and there was flour from the kitchen all the way to the bedroom. The cabinet sprung open, the flour hit the floor and burst, and it was just like Snow White, like from kitchen to bedroom. I'm glad DEA wasn't around. They'd put us in jail for whatever. Anyway, so that's the only things that's happened so far. So knock on wood, we haven't had any major difficulties. I'm sure as time goes, we'll have those.
We've traveled extensively over the last few years, putting tens of thousands of miles each year on our RV and our pickup truck. So yes, almost every trip we have to repair something. Something breaks, something major, something minor. But as Mary will tell you,
We have a video that we put out quite a while ago on the road damage that we've had. There was a couple of blowouts. There was an incident where we did some damage to the trailer. I'll put the link up there for the video, and you can look at it in more detail. What advice or suggestions would you give to somebody wanting to try work camping?
Well, I tell you, I've enjoyed it. I think it is the most stress-free time that I've ever had in my life. But it has to work for everybody. Everybody's situation's different. And if you want to do it, there's a way that you can do it. But the things that really hold people up is health insurance and Social Security, and you can get around those. It's getting a lot easier to get health insurance. Cost a little bit, and you can come up with ways to save money in lieu of Social Security. And you could also take jobs that offer, they take out for Social Security, so you can contribute to your Social Security. So there's a lot of different ways that you can make it work. The problem is family. Are you ready to give up the grandkids, the kids? Do you still have parents that are alive? Do you have to take care of them? So there's a lot of things that fall into place that make it difficult to get out on the road and become a full-time RVer and work camper. But if you can make it work, if you work out all the details and make a good plan, I say go for it, because it's just a really great lifestyle to travel and see things. And I don't know, Jill and I, we work when we need to work. So if we spend money, we go out and we try to make money. If we want to take a trip, we go out, we work till we get enough money to take that trip, and then we go take the trip. But there's all different kinds of ways that you can make work camping work for you. I mean, we choose campgrounds, but there's a whole facet of other things that you can do. So my advice to anybody is if you can make it work for you, go for it.
my advice, and we followed extensively, is treat this like you were going out for any other job opportunity. We develop full resumes along with pictures of our units and pictures of our truck and business cards, and start looking for job opportunities as professionals.
Yeah, that's a really good suggestion. When we first started out, we were in Florida looking for a job, and we went to the Tampa RV show. And as Jerry just said, we had our resumes all set. We had business cards made up with a picture of ourselves and our trailer, and we went there prepared to talk to people about finding a job. The other suggestion I would have is to subscribe to Workampers News and Workers on Wheels. They both list jobs monthly, and you can check out their websites.
And don't forget word of mouth. Many of jobs that we've gotten or know that people have gotten had been from a friend of a friend. Once you have a reputation of completing your assignments fully and your commitments fully, you start getting a reputation of being a good work camper.
What are the top 3 places you have traveled to that you'd recommend to other full-time travelers?
3 that come to mind. We haven't been traveling as much as I would like to, and there are a lot of places that I haven't seen that I'd love to see. But my first one is Tombstone, Arizona. I just love the fact that the main street's all blocked off, and it's stagecoaches and cowboys, and everybody dresses up, and there's saloons and restaurants, and it's just the whole atmosphere. Just I don't know, it just really, it's just so cool. And you can gunfight right there on the right in the middle of the street. I pulled out my Smith & Wesson. I was going to show off, and the police quickly told me I can't do that. But anyway, it's a really cool place. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the atmosphere. We even went out to eat at a restaurant, and cowboys drove up on their horses and tied them to a hitching post and came in and ate. I don't know. I just thought it was cool. The second place is Savannah, Georgia. I love the history. Jill definitely loves the history, and there's just so much to see and do in Savannah. Not to speak of going to Paula Dean's restaurant, because that's the best chicken you'll ever eat. But Jill loves the architect. She loves the houses. She loves all the history. So that's my number 2. And my number 3 is actually Jill's number 3. I think it's pretty cool, but it's Red Oaks 2. It's just outside of Carthage, Missouri. An artist named Lowell Davis had some property out there, and he noticed that his hometown was starting to fall to ruins and fall apart, and he thought, well, as an artist, he'd like to restore that. So he started going to his old hometown, taking buildings to his property and restoring them to their historic grandeur. And as he built this community, he sold off properties to different owners. So everybody owns a little piece of history out there. And part of owning on that property was that they would maintain it as a historic home. And it's really cool place. If you've never been there, you should at least stop by. It's on Route 66, so you can pop in there and check it out. It's not too hard to get to, but it's a really cool place. So that's my number 3.
The 3 top places we would recommend. I agree with Steve and Jill. Savannah's a great destination. Loved it. Want to go back almost every year. We also loved San Antonio, the River Walk. It's a great location with the Alamo there and the missions. We had a great time there. And I think Jerry might agree with me. Our other favorite place is the Black Hills, all the way up through Theodore Roosevelt National Park, and the one you like so much from Close Encounters.
Oh,
Devil's Tower.
Devil's Tower.
Devil's Tower.
But in truth, it's the groundhogs, the
Prairie dogs.
Prairie dog.
Oh, they're our favorite.
One of ours, anyways.
Well, my favorite.
So those are our 3 places we thoroughly enjoy. We still have a little bit of the country left to discover, 4th and a 5th, but those are our top 3.
Yeah, those are our top 3. And Steve, I can't interview you without hearing more about how Monkey and Chicken came to travel with you.
Well, back long time ago when I met Jill, we were at a yard sale and she saw this monkey and we just thought it was the cutest thing. I don't know. Jill bought the monkey and the monkey started riding in the truck with me and he just became my lucky passenger. I used to go up to Potters County to go hunting at a hunt camp, and I drove a good ways, about 3 hours up to the camp, and monkey always rode in the back, sometimes in the front, and he was my lucky charm. One day I was driving up there and a doe run across in front of me. I slammed on the brakes. I reached across like he was a real monkey or a child and tried to hold him back from going through the windshield because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. But anyway, Monkey's been with me ever since then. And then he asked me to, be in a video, and so I said yes. And then while we were in Missouri, Jill was working at not a halfway house. She don't work in a halfway house. Jill was working at a consignment shop, and she saw the chicken, and she thought, oh, that'd be cool. I'm gonna take chicken home. So chicken came into the family, I don't know, 2017, while we were in Missouri. So Chicken was jealous of Monkey. Chicken wanted to be in the video too, so now I have Chicken and Monkey and whatever. So I have Chicken and Monkey in my video. So that's how I obtained Chicken and Monkey, and I've just started picking up animals left and right now. I don't know how many I got, but they all want to be in the video. Before you know it, I'm not even going to be in the video. It'll just be the animals.
Steve and Jill have Monkey and Chicken and a whole lot of other animals that travel with them. And we have Katie and Pedro. Katie's been with us since the kids were little, and our kids are all grown. But she came home with us when we returned to the U.S. after living in Australia. And Jerry's going to tell you how Pedro got in our truck.
Pedro, we traveled a lot between Connecticut and Florida, and south of the border is halfway. And if you ever driven down Route 95, about every half mile you're going to see a mile marker to south of the border. And we stayed at the campground there every trip. And we found Pedro abandoned on the side of the road at the campground at south of the border. So he got his name Pedro.
And then because Katie has clothes, my grandson wanted Pedro to have clothes. So he and I made a Junior Ranger jacket for Pedro.
That's correct. Pedro's a Junior Ranger.
Yes.
And Katie's the belle of the forest.
And they both travel with us and show up in our videos quite often. Steve, thank you so much for participating in the interview. It's been a fun challenge trying to figure out how to put the pieces together. I assume everybody watching knows, but maybe they don't. You're physically in Pennsylvania, and we today are in Tennessee, but when we started this project, we were in North Dakota. So it's been a fun challenge doing it through emails and through snail mail even. So thank you very much, Steve. How about taking a moment and saying goodbye to everyone?
So that's my answers to Jerry and Mary's questions. I appreciate them asking, and I hope I answered them and didn't rattle on too long, because sometimes I do that. I appreciate your time. Until later, bye.
So that wraps up our interview with Steve Turtle. And please check out his YouTube channel. He has wonderful things and a lot of information about work camping at both campgrounds, and wonderful videos on working as a gate guard. So check out his channel. Give us a thumbs up. Please share this interview with your friends. And we'd appreciate it if you'd hit subscribe and hit the alarm if you haven't already. And don't forget to make good memories wherever the road may take you.
Well, like anybody else, we've had our challenges traveling on the road. We put a lot of miles on the RV and the truck each year. So it's almost every trip we have some minor fix to do on either the truck or the trailer. But as Mary will tell you.
What am I telling you?
The
Oh!